Hey, good morning. Got crazy winds going on here in LA this morning. I got up this morning. I like to watch videos in the morning, feed my head a little bit, get my brain activated. And I caught something this morning with this geologist. He's in northern England somewhere, and he's showing fossils that prove that this super cold area it's pretty cold most of the year. Of course, it's wintertime now. But he's showing these fossils that prove that area had been a very warm, shallow sea at one time. And it's a subtle way of explaining how we shouldn't be overly concerned about the planet warming, because the planet's been a lot warmer than it is now. And I had this conversation a lot with people, my clients, a lot of the time. This is a subject that I put a lot of time into over the years, especially when that propaganda film came out, that Inconvenient Pack of Lies by Al Gore. I'll get into that. There was a time when the planet was so toxic it couldn't support humans or a lot of other animal life, right? It's changed over the years, and it's always changing. Like there's an interesting thing too. Like there's been at least 3 major die-offs of human populations over time, going back tens of thousands of years. And we know this because there are ancient structures. They're always oriented, north, south, east, west. They always have a north face that's aligned. And when they take all these ancient structures and they map them out and they point that front north face, there's 3 points in basically North America that show where the North Pole was. 3 different North Poles there's been, while humans were alive building big megalithic structures. So that's interesting. We also know that in Antarctica, there were rainforests at one time, which means Antarctica was not at the bottom of the globe. It was never so warm that there was rainforests at the South Pole, all right? It didn't happen. So what that's telling you, what is that telling you? Think about this. That's telling you that there are massive shifts on this planet that take place, all right? Where the crust of the earth, at least, is shifting. There's a sudden shift that happens. And there are these 12,000 year cycles. There's 12,000, 24, 36,000 year cycles that happen. And what's going on is the planet's traveling through space in an elliptical pattern that repeats itself, and it takes that long for us to crisscross these events that take place. So we don't really understand what they are. One of the oldest structures, now it's no longer, they found older, but one of the oldest that was found within the last, I don't even know if it's been 20 years already. It's been talked about more in the last, there's a giant palm frond blowing down the street in front of me. Palm fronds are dangerous in Los Angeles. They will fall out, they'll knock you out, man. Freaking kill you, crack your windshield. It's nuts. The heck was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I'm just trying to say there's been a lot of human activity going back much further than we realize, and the planet has changed so much, and the earth has shifted, and we don't know why. And but yes, that's right. Göbekli Tepe. There's this place in Turkey. They've only excavated one little area, but they've found a bunch of others. But this one area is a pretty big deal because there's giant T-shaped stones that have reliefs of animals carved out onto them, which means not carved into them. They're reliefs that protrude beyond the stone, but it's part of the stones. That's a big deal. And they finally extrapolated and figured out that these animals are actually constellations in the sky. And this whole thing is a warning that something bad happens when the sky, the constellations up there, are in this, they're set up this way. It just so happens that our sky today matches that. And we are seeing a lot of weird stuff on the planet. It's not climate change so much as our planet is coming into this phase again where bad stuff is happening. That's really what's going on. They don't want to tell you. There's so much that they can't tell you. I want you to think about this. They constantly find new life on this planet. There's always new insects and new plants and new animals just cropping up out of nowhere, man. All of a sudden there's this, there's that, and then they find stuff that they thought was dead forever but is still alive. What seeded the planet with life? Right? There's a whole panspermia theory that makes sense, and I accept it because we know that meteors bring life to the planet. They bring the building blocks of life, all the proteins and everything else. They've even found water in some of them. There's these metal spheres on the bottom of the ocean that they find. I don't understand where the hell that came from. There are theories that even the Spanish influenza and other diseases could have been brought here from meteors. We know that life exists in space. In my lifetime, that's new knowledge. When I was a kid, we were told nothing lived in space. And they sent space shuttles up and they found algae growing on the outside of the space station. So there's life in space. The things don't just die out there. So which means Godzilla could happen, right? Technically, there could be some creature. You know, twice a year we go through meteor showers, right? And all those things are bombarding the planet. They tell you on the news, hey, there's going to be a meteor shower tonight. Every one of those meteors could be bringing something new to the planet. The Spanish influenza theory is because at the same time that broke out in Spain, it also happened in China. So they were trying to figure out how that could happen, and it was during the time of the meteor showers. You know, so I'm just trying to get you to think broadly and deeply and beyond your lifetime, because there's been stuff going on for a long time. And as far as the planet being warmer, we have good history, you know, over the last 2,000 plus years. And not just because of written history or oral history, but because of what we know happened on the planet during different time periods. Like, we know that the Roman warm period was much warmer than it is now, and humans around the world thrived and built giant cities and all kinds of things. Same thing during the medieval warming period. You know, then we had the Little Ice Age. That was like the 1300s, and it went into like 1860 or something. And that was a rough time, you know. So humans survive regardless of what the temperature is on the planet. It doesn't really matter that much. But what we really know that is important is that overall the planet does better when it's warmer. It supports more life. I'll get you into this inconvenient pack of lies here in a second. All right. Hit the wrong button there. So, in that film, which, by the way, I have a little backstory with that. There's a woman that moved in next to me, and she was the personal assistant of the director of that propaganda piece. He also did the film, a documentary that was acclaimed, I think it was called Waiting for Superman, which I never saw, and I should see it. I think it has something to do with the education system. But that guy was hired basically as an editor. It had all been shot already. She told me all this. He basically put it together. And for doing that, he got to be famous and make enough money to produce and direct what he really wanted to do. So he was really just a figurehead piece that he was selected to direct that film, which again, he didn't direct. But in that film, when they talk about the ice core samples and they show the high carbon during the warmer periods and they extrapolate that the carbon is making the planet warmer, they're lying to you. What that documentary did was it took scientific peer-reviewed papers coming out of universities and other scientists of other disciplines, climate scientists and geologists and all these other things, and they would cherry pick certain parts of the data to support the narrative that they wanted to program into your mind. So what the ice cores actually show, and which is backed up, by the way, by the core samples that come out of the ocean floors all over the planet, the ocean floor cores are showing you life. They're showing you time periods where there's more life because it's in the microbes in the ocean, you know, settle. And what it actually shows, both of them, the ice and the mud, they show that the planet always warmed first and then CO2 levels rose. There's nowhere where you can find a graph that's telling you the truth, where CO2 rose and then the temperature rose. They do that in that nonsense, but that's not what the science shows. And you guys can look this up. There's a great documentary which I highly recommend. It's gotten a lot of flack, and there's been character assassination on it and debunkers on it, but it's called The Great Global Warming Swindle by this guy Richard, I can't think of his last name right now. He's a Nobel Prize winning guy, and he worked with Margaret Thatcher, and it's very well done, and they basically break it all down. And a lot of the papers, the people that wrote the papers that where part of that information was used in Al Gore's propaganda piece, they've gone to court and everything to have that removed, like have their names removed from it, because they're up in arms about it. But anyhow, it always shows that the planet actually got warmer first, and then CO2 levels rose. And the reason for that is when the planet's warmer, the life is supported in areas now that are too cold to support life, right? Like tundras, things like that. So you take an area now where that's too cold to support plant life, you warm it up, it supports plant life. Now we get insect life, now we get critters, and we get predators. Boom, boom, boom. But the plants themselves are producing CO2. They as they fall and deciduate and all that sort of thing. And the ocean produces a fucking ton of it. It's also a sink for it. Like, the way the planet works really has nothing to do with us. We're never going to make it that bad. And we're never going to kill the planet. The planet's never going to die, right? Unless it gets hit by something. Another the 12th planet comes along, which is probably what we're getting close to right now. There's going to be this gravitational pull thing that happens. I got to tell you, man, this catastrophic thing where, when you think about the Earth shifting like that, imagine that, what that's going to do. That's going to kill off most humans. Now, I think it's a pretty good estimation that there's probably more humans on the planet now than there ever was, even in the great distant past. And the way our technology is now, I believe that even when this occurrence happens, it's going to happen. It could happen in our lifetime. 2036 is a big year. Look this up. There's some asteroid that is going to come very close to us. By the way, that's the same year the Ouija board told me I was going to die. So, I was 9 years old. I asked the Ouija board, when am I going to die? It said 60 years. So I got till I'm 69, so... And I never really believed that, but I did test it along the way, because I definitely should have been dead many times over, and I'm still here. Aren't you happy about that? Anyhow, so I think that more humans will survive this time, and we'll remember more. We'll have our technologies. We have all sorts of interesting things now with solar generators and things like that. So you can imagine if just a few humans live, and a few solar generators live, and a few little computers live, then we still have access to information. That's an interesting thought too, because if the Earth moves, well, the satellites will still be there, right? Anyhow, I hadn't really thought that one out too much, but my point is that I watched this video this morning, and I had to go to the comments because this guy was so nice. He wasn't overtly trying to say you're a bunch of idiots for getting concerned about this, but he's pointing out, that geologists think on a much grander time frame. Everybody else is concerned with the here and now, and you're being manipulated. Your thoughts are being manipulated by bullshit. So a lot of you are just believing things that are incorrect, total falsehoods, untrue, all of it. So I had to read these comments, and people like to use these. They don't back it up with anything. They just say things like, yes, but that was then, and now we're in a different time, and the results of this not doing this or that could be catastrophic. And they just throw these words out to make you crazy and scared and emotional. Oh my God. Oh. But they don't back it up. They're just throwing a bunch of crap out there, and all they're doing is repeating what they've been told or what they heard, and they don't know anything that I just said. And by the way, I'm not a scientist, but I know what a woman is. I can talk all about that, but I'm not a scientist, so you can't take my word for it, all right? If you want to know something, look it up. Don't go to one source. Read multiple sources. Look at it all. Understand, learn the difference between opinion and fact. All right? Understand that when you're reading a hit piece, listen to what you're reading, because more often than not, it's like a character set. They're trying to break down somebody's credibility to get you to believe that, hey, if this person took money from these people or cheated on his wife or whatever, then, you can't believe what he's telling you, even though it's like, researched and there's data and graphs and everything else. Don't look at that, because that guy's a piece of shit. That's another thing that's really fascinating to me. Like, you're supposed to only accept opinions from people whose lives we're supposed to think are like perfect. There's no such thing, man. There's no such thing. Everybody's it could be a piece of shit once in a while, or an asshole or something. We should be trying to be the best versions of ourselves. I try to leave you with that message every time. It's like leaders. I don't like the way he sounds. I don't like what he says. Really? How much time have you spent looking into the lives of leaders that we look at today as people who brought about positive change for humans, Because the types of human beings that take that role on, which you can say, hey, they're narcissists or they're egomaniacs or whatever, fine. I don't care. All I care about is the results. Did they do the right thing for their people overall? Did they have less war? Did they do things for a broader amount of people, for the good? Were their economies better? You know what I'm saying? That results are what matter, not personalities. We need to get through this bullshit, man. So all I'm saying is, with this climate thing, it's ridiculous, and we could actually get to the point where, because it's not the temperature. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm telling you. The temperature doesn't matter. It's going to get warmer. You'll be fine. I mean, if these people that are trying to scare you to death about it would stop buying beachfront property, then maybe I'd listen to them. You know what I mean? Like, say one thing, do another. If they weren't flying all over the world in private jets, maybe I could, they'd have some credibility, right? If they rode a boat to Europe, with, human power or something, or, solar cells powering a little engine, floating on the ocean to get there, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is serious now. But they're not doing that, right? They're driving around in bulletproof SUVs and flying around in private jets, eating all kinds of food. It's the hypocrisy, when you really look into this, is so blatant. You should snap the fuck out of it, man. Wake up a little bit. But I would say, like, the only thing we really have to worry about is pollution. That's the thing. That's the main thing. So, and which we're doing pretty good. The planet is actually greener now than it ever has been. It probably, well, not ever has been, but maybe in human history, I don't know, that might be a stretch. But it's definitely greener today than it was when I was a kid. We know that's a fact. NASA proves that. They try to talk around that. Just read some of those articles. They'll be like, oh, it's greener now, but that's not necessarily a good thing, and could, because you know what plants live on? Carbon dioxide. Yeah. Well, all my hot air I'm throwing out there is that the plants are loving it. They love me when I walk by. They all want to touch me and scratch my arms up. The rose bushes really love me. They leave their love marks all over me. All right, that's it for now. Have a good day. I hope I gave you something to think about, And if you want to give me grief over it, that'd be kind of silly of you. I'm just some guy, working by himself. I don't have a PhD, But my mind works. You know what I learned when I went to college? I didn't need college. What I learned in college was I could do my own. You have to research. That's what you learn in college. If you're going to write a paper on something or learn a subject, you got to read about it. And then you talk about it with your peers. Talk about it. You write papers, you read parts of your papers, teacher gives you things, point things out, boom, bada boom, bada boom. Good teacher's going to create arguments in class, boop, bada bada boop. You figure it out, you get your brain to think. I don't think they're doing that anymore. I watched a couple other videos this morning where these guys are on the street talking to the younger generation, and the guy's like, hey, what ocean is on the east coast of the North America? People don't know. People don't know that the United States has a capital. They ask them to name 3 countries, and they're naming states. And I understand that when somebody puts a camera in your face, you can get a little shocked and stupid, you know, because you're thinking about that more and how you look and all the other things that don't matter. But there are people, young people they're going to USC, and you talk to them, they don't know anything. They don't know anything, like the basics. What used to be basic common sense is no longer there. I said it before, I'll say it again. I watched this. I watched it with Ebonics, which was bullshit. I watched it with the Common Core Math thing, and I'll say it again. Common Core Math was all about getting our children to accept absurdity so that they will continue to believe and accept whatever else they're told for the rest of their lives. They've been programmed already. That's it. Now they got their phone in front of them. They're just staring at this all day. You ask somebody a question that they don't know, they want to Google it. Used to be you knew stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy what's happening. They are dumbing down the planet. Dumbing it down. They're dumbing it down so that you don't question anything and you just accept whatever they're telling you. So you can continue to be little worker bee slaves in this weird state of mind. And you know what? You're happy because you got your entertainment. You can walk anywhere you want and get fast food garbage that's killing you. You could order whatever you want online and have it delivered to your door. The whole world is soft, man. Other than the places where it's not, you know. And they don't even know about all this other stuff. They're just living their lives every day. No matter what happens, nothing changes. You know what I mean? If you live in a freaking jungle in a grass hut, none of this crap matters. None of it matters to you. You know, you live out in the desert somewhere, you got to walk, 2 football fields to carry buckets of water back to your dirt floor hut. Your kids are out in the yard playing with sticks, and everybody's happy and laughing. This doesn't matter to you, you know? It's wild, man. Wild. All right, I'm going to work. Have a great day. Be kind to one another. Smarten up.